Good morning. Can you all hear me okay? I'm not sure if this is on. Yeah, good. Thank you so much for coming. I was watching the game last night with Neil, and I thought if this goes to extra time, I might be presenting to a wall tomorrow, so I really appreciate you all for coming so early. I'm going to kick straight off. We've got a lot to go through. We've got a lot of things to kind of run through. Just to affirm you're in the right session, this is the AI Machine Learning Workshop, as we just went through. My name's Art, and I'm launching, pretty much yesterday, a small creative tech agency called Pogo. I've set it up to help creative teams across the industry break storytelling boundaries and use nascent technology in order to cut through the noise and captivate audiences in a way that just traditional media on its own simply can't. So hopefully I'll show you a few examples of how we're doing that and some of the things that we're kind of breaking boundaries and pushing things in that area. I'm absolutely blown away to have Andrea Sarnataro, our AI creative and art director today with us, and Jamie Seechurn, who is a 3D artist and art director. Just to give you a little bit of a background for me, I used to work at Microsoft and Verizon and Yahoo, but also have a background in creative industry working with Trevor Beatty and B&B and some of the older agencies as well. Current clients are M&C and Mindshare, so kind of been around the industry for a while. And just to give you a flavor of kind of what we're going to run through today, I've got the tricky task of trying to introduce machine learning and AI in about 5 minutes, so bear with me. Hopefully you guys have a kind of foundational knowledge already. And then I'm going to give a view of kind of from a creative technologist perspective, how we're using machine learning and AI for storytelling opportunities, unlocking some things that couldn't have been done before. And then I'm going to hand over to Andrea, who's going to tell you a little bit about idea generation and pre-production. And then Jamie's going to show a little bit more about post-production and some of the things that he's doing there in the creative workflow. So I'm going to start by just sort of addressing the elephant in the room. Nobody standing on this stage can tell you exactly what's going to happen, and if they are, I think this, I'd give them a wide berth. But what we can say, if we draw a line in the sand right now, is that AI machine learning isn't going to steal your job, but somebody using it will, and I would stand fast with that kind of principle right now. I think there is a huge amount of buzz around machine learning and AI, but the reality is it's been around for years. It's not a new thing. It's just kind of come to fruition in the last, I'd say probably the last couple of years, where it's become quite mainstream. And a lot of you are probably aware of it for these reasons of kind of generative visuals, and I say visuals loosely. Obviously the guys are going to come onto that later on, but it's an area where people are seeing these kind of uses of it. And then also obviously chatbots and things like GPT. Of course, being a nerd, I had to ask how to help me put together a workshop for the festival. A lot of people are seeing it in these kind of areas, but the reality is it's everywhere. And when some of the clients come to me and say, we're thinking about banning machine learning and AI, I'm like, it's a bit like banning binary code or the internet. It's not really possible. It's in your autonomous vehicles, it's in your smartphones, it's in your watch when you fall over and it sends you a notification saying, are you okay? That is a machine learning system that understands what a gyroscope looks like when someone falls over. I won't go through the whole list, but you get the idea. This isn't just our industry, it's across all industries. It's changing absolutely everything. And I'm going to apologize up front at just gone 10 o'clock in the morning showing you all code, but as a technologist, this is kind of the only way that I can think about how much of a paradigm shift this is. Really, if you think about my job for the last 20 years, it's been helping creative teams come up with ideas and then extract it and kind of translate it into code and making it work, on different scales. And that's brilliant for things like apps where you can press buttons and you can have if-else statements saying, if this API says something, do something else. But it's not very good when you want to interact with a human on a level that feels very natural to them and feels very kind of human. And that's where this paradigm shift in technology is really sort of helping us unlock new things. So it's the way that you actually teach machine learning is to take huge, vast amounts of data, input it into a system, and then instead of telling the machine what to do, we train it to see patterns and see certain different models. And by doing that, we can then have what's known as very good narrow intelligence to basically look at different situations and react in a way that feels more human. And you'll hear me talk about machine learning. It's really because it's kind of the foundational layers for a lot of AI and what's going on. This is really the kind of basics of how this stuff actually works. And I think if I had one kind of watch out for all of us, which is if we try and break this and look at how it works, it's only data. And I think it's really, really important to remember that, because effectively it's only data with a kind of wrapper over the top of it that helps us interact with it in a way that feels much more human. And when we start taking that framework and looking at it in that way, we have to be careful, because that data isn't necessarily always the data that we want for the world going forward. This isn't me being contentious, this is me being statistically correct and saying that where a lot of this technology is coming from is from Silicon Valley, which is predominantly Caucasian, well-educated, well-paid males. So we've got to be very careful about how they're training those systems. There's also other unconscious bias, there's traditional bias, but then there's also latent bias, which is where the data that we've got, if you think about it, is old, it's residual. It could be 10, 15 years old, it could be an old Wikipedia article, and we as a society have moved on along a lot since that data was potentially published. And then desired outcomes. This is where Musk and all the big players get worried, because if you give machine learning a job to do, it will do whatever it can to get there. If you ask it to do something, it'll look at the information it's got and it'll do it. It has no morals. It is just a computer at the end of the day. And if you set it a task that is dangerous or could be bad for human beings, it won't know and it'll just do it. So it's just another thing to kind of be aware of. And then hallucinations. Anyone heard of hallucinations? So hallucinate, basically, for want of a better explanation, AI is quite eager to please. So if you ask it a probing question, it will try and give you the best answer that it thinks is going to please you. And the problem with that is that you then go and do a presentation, or you go and use that as a core bit of data for something in your workflow, and it's wrong. If you think about looking at it from the framework of its only data, like we talked about at the beginning, it might have gone off to an old forum and got a piece of information that's incorrect and kind of sent you back down the wrong way. So does that give everyone just a baseline knowledge of kind of machine learning AI? That was a very rapid kind of approach to it. I usually do an hour-and-a-half workshop on this. So hopefully you've got a kind of better understanding of actually what's going on underneath the hood. And all I'm going to do now is just going to run through some examples. Some of them I've worked on, some of them my company has helped to deliver, and some I've had nothing to do with, but I just think are awesome. Because I think it's a really good way of looking at how we can unlock stories that otherwise couldn't have been told. So I'm going to run a video of a project that I worked on with the amazing Clear Channel and M&C Saatchi, and this is quite triggering. It's about knife crime, so if anybody is affected by that, feel free to step out the room for a couple of minutes and just come back in afterwards, okay?
Every time I hear a siren, all I can think about is what did Ben go through that night, what was happening in that ambulance, and it sends shivers down my spine.
Hijack to do next to the only person that's wearing underneath my body. It's been stabbed. He's losing a lot of blood from the neck.
Is he breathing and conscious?
Not really, he's losing consciousness.
My brother Ben died 15 years ago, and it changed all of our lives forever. And that's 15 Mother's Days that he hasn't been able to be with my mum. And my hope for this campaign is that it encourages people to put down their knives so that no other family has to suffer the heartbreak that mine has. Stop knife crime. Don't carry one.
So it's a very hard-hitting campaign, and I always think it's fun to show a bit about the behind the scenes about how we actually achieve this. So this was working with the incredible Jason Prout at Clear Channel, building a custom 6-sheet. In the middle, the rather unglamorous side of my job, which was standing in the middle of the field in the dark, listening to my cousin's ambulance and recording it to train that machine learning system to understand what sirens sound like, and you'd be amazed how many different sirens there are and what they all mean, and you can train the model to basically understand that. And then on the right-hand side, how I didn't get kicked out of my hotel when I was working on this project, I have no idea, because I had wires hanging out the window, microphones, webcams looking at logs, and the reality was that this worked really, really well. It was so good, in fact, that we could predict the feeling of an ambulance being close to you, because you think about when you shut your eyes in a city, you can hear an ambulance a lot of the time. Is it a brake squeaking? And we really kind of unlocked that paranoia of a mother, and we could change the poster very sort of flexibly depending on the kind of sound that was heard. And of course, you know, being a nascent technology and cutting through, it got into mainstream media. I found out yesterday that it was actually in the BBC as well, and it had a real impact, and it's still going. I think it was rerun in Bournemouth recently as well, which is phenomenal to see that it's still kind of pushing and going forward. And then the next one could not be more different. So this is effectively deep faking a celebrity. So what we did here was, well, basically the way my company supported this was 2 senior producers that went in and helped deliver the project. And you'll see, I'll run the video. It's a really fun, very different approach of using machine learning and AI to augment storytelling.
I didn't know it was possible to mess up this badly. If there were medals for mistakes, you'd be gold. Congratulations, Mikey. You've invented a new game called Let's Score an Own Goal. Mistakes. We all make them, especially when we're hungry. And this summer, there'll be a lot of own goals being scored on and off the pitch.
Oh, man.
So, Snickers, you know, the experts in satisfying your hunger, have partnered with me, Jose Mourinho, to provide special one-to-one advice for anyone you know who's messed up. Except I am not Jose Mourinho. I'm an authorized AI version of him, trained not just to look and sound like him, but to think a bit like him too. Tell me your mate's mistake. And by combining 3 powerful AI engines, I'll reply with a completely unique video message for them every single time. Hey AJ, it looks like you missed the memo on how not to fail. Your friend Adam tells me you ate something that gave you bad breath. Stinker of an own goal, my friend, literally, is like bringing a skunk to the team locker room. Maybe you just need a Snickers.
So hopefully you get the idea. Very, very different use of the technology, unlocking a story in a very, very different way. But, you know, a way of kind of engaging people and making it very personal, which AI and machine learning can do. This next one I'm going to play, I had absolutely nothing to do, but I think it's a phenomenal use of AI. The irony is, I don't think there was actually a creative tech solution built in order to do it. It was more a nod to what's going on in society and how it's changing things, and then basically playing beautifully into it. In many ways, it was a sitting duck for Dove and how they could actually use this technology. And as a father of a 9-year-old girl, I find, you know, obviously that's quite touching, and it's something that I think is just a perfect place for a purpose-driven ad to basically kind of align with and look at and reflect on some of those data biases that we were talking earlier on about, and how we need to be really careful of them, and how as brands we need to be really careful of them as well. The last one's a bit of a bonus round. This is nothing to do with media or marketing, but I think is, for us, a real opportunity, and a lot of the teams I work with, I'm showing this at the moment. It's basically utility and looking at machine learning in a way of actually unlocking sort of brand value, I guess, in a way that we couldn't have done otherwise.
Love Legos. I just finished this enormous Concorde Lego set. It's so cool. Ah! Oh, fix that later. And I found this crazy app that lets you point your camera at a pile of unused Legos, and then it scans and identifies each one and then tells you a bunch of different things you can make with it. It recognizes 1,600 of the most common bricks. And it not only gives you step-by-step instructions, it will show you exactly where in your pile that specific brick is. This thing is powered by a machine learning system that was trained first on lots of different 3D models of piled up Lego bricks, and then on real-world photos that app users sent in. Honestly, this is a good use of AI. If you want to see more of my awesome Concorde Lego set, you can watch me build it by watching our Supersonic Planes episode right here. Oops.
So that's quite a lot to take in. Obviously, 3 very different examples that I've chosen. But I think it's really important to kind of cut through these and then every day, from a creative perspective, think about how we can use these. So I've put them into wrappers, effectively. Lego is a very utility-based approach. Can we do something amazing that we couldn't have done for customers before? Could we help with that dilemma when you're standing in front of the recycling saying, should I, shouldn't I recycle this? Could you take, every parent knows that Lego, by the end of it, you have boxes and boxes of this stuff that's effectively rubbish. Could you use that to give it to somebody else or do something incredible with it? That feels like a sitting duck, and I'm really surprised no one's really done this from a marketing perspective yet. Activation, so Snickers, if you think about the work that was done with Snickers, there was already a campaign there by the AMP partnership that was very successful. It was an amplification of that and looking at it from a different perspective. Or can we actually unlock stories that otherwise couldn't have been told using this technology, like Ben Kinsella, where we literally couldn't have done that otherwise. Without using that technology, that story never would have been told. So that kind of wraps it up for me. I want to leave on a slightly different note, which is, this is my daughter, Emmy. We find these little books all around our house, unfinished stories. They were everywhere. She just hasn't quite got the ability yet to go from beginning, middle, and end in storytelling, and also to basically do, think about characters and how they expand. And so what we've been doing recently is taking that work and putting it into ChatGPT, working with DALL-E 3, and outputting some of the images of what she's working on. And I'm showing this example for 2 reasons. One, because I promised my daughter, but secondly, because I think these guys are going to grow up with this stuff. We're all sitting here wondering, is it going to steal our jobs? How is this going to work? They don't give a crap, to be perfectly honest. They just see it as a muse that suddenly helps them unlock new storytelling opportunities. And I think if I can leave you with one thing, it's to think about it like this. What can we achieve that we couldn't have achieved otherwise? How are we going to use AI to make sure that it doesn't steal our jobs, but it helps us compete against other people that are using it? So with that, I'll hand it over to Andrea, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the pre-production and storytelling side. Yeah, sure.
Actually, I call my... sorry. Test? Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. So I'm Andrea Sarnataro, and I am a creative advertiser and art director. But in the last 3 years, I've been working on AI. So that's why I call myself an AI creative, because I mix the set of skills typical of a creative plus all this AI knowledge. So my background is also in fine arts, cinematography, photography. I did a bit of everything. And that's why I find AI so useful, because if you like me, everything, anything, AI is great. In one day, you can experiment everything you can with creating a kind of image that you will never have the budget for. And so we're going to start with a game. We're going to do something a bit interactive. Can you hear me? Okay. And my Italian accent is pretty strong. I hope you understand. Okay, thanks. Yeah, they said that no, they can hear you. Anyway, so I wanted to know, please, what's your level of knowledge about AI? So are you beginners? And for beginners, I mean people that sometimes have been using Midjourney or Photoshop, but they don't know that much. So any beginners? No? Okay. Okay. Any intermediate, and for intermediate, I mean someone that knows deeply at least one tool, like even Adobe Firefly, okay? Some expert, any expert, someone that knows everything, okay. So this game is for you, because we are starting with something very simple. You need to understand what's made by AI, and me, and what's made by human. So I'm going to give you, we're going to have 3 slides. We have these pairs. I'm going to give you 10 seconds for each slide. So try to figure out. 10, 9. Do you want to guess that too? Yeah.
I know the answers.
So, let's see. Did any of you got them right? All of them? Oh, you're great. You should work in AI. Green are made by humans, and red are made by AI. And this is like the easiest slide, because here I've been using stage photography. The next one is going to be a bit more difficult, because I've been using some less staged examples, and you need to guess what's AI and what's not. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I love this bit. It's brilliant.
Consider that the attention span people have on a social post or on a poster is about in between 3 to 10 seconds. So if in 10 seconds you can't understand what's going on, I can fool you whenever I want. And also people like me can do that. I'm not the only one. So how many of you got all of them right? 2, at least 2. Good, well, that's the second. 1, 0. There are people then, they got totally fooled. I'm sorry. So you're going to have a hard time in the future, in the present world. Just let you know. Next one is even more difficult because I've been using a kind of visuals that you can find in your daily life. Someone that, because people think, okay, I can recognize AI. You can't. And then in the next one, it's going to be even clearer. Guess the AI, 10 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Did any of you got them right? All of them? Yeah, anyway, I'm actually sorry because I made all of them. And that's communicating well my point. So people think that in the future AI, we won't be able to recognize anymore what's real and what's not, but we are already there. And there are already people like me that are working with AI. We are working for companies kind of undercover, because companies don't want to let the audience know they're using AI for doing their work, but they like it a lot. So, because you can save so much money. So, let's start with an introduction of what you can use if you want to get into the AI world. AI is not just about the Midjourney or Firefly. This is one slide with some of all the examples. Yeah, take a pictures if you want to start with AI. I actually forgot to mention Magnific AI. It's a wonderful AI. And this is one of 3 slides. At some point, I had to stop to collecting logos just because I got very bored, and there's no reason. So, but then you can use Midjourney, Stability, Firefly, Krea. Those are for creating images. 11 Labs is great if you need audio, sound effects, voiceovers. If you are a creative and need for voiceovers, go for 11 Labs. There's a bit of everything. Take a picture and explore everything. And in order to learn, all of them are very different. So they have their own commands, they have their own kind of language. Most of all, they have their own biases. Many people think that bias is a bad thing when you create with AI. It can be, like we were talking about beautification. But then when you know what's the bias of a machine, that can become a strong pillar in your creation. Because in these random generations you can get, you have at least something that you know it's like that. That's the bias, that's going to be always like that. So taking your time to explore everything is very important. This is when you get professional and you get to know all the shades of every eye. It takes time. It's not something that you can learn in a week. This is going to take 6 months. So if you want to get to at least 6 months. If you want to get to the eye, start immediately. And so, because with AI, you can get a sketch. This is something I did in Procreate. And in 1 second, you can get this. Like, I'm specialized in mood boards, pitch, all of that, storyboards. So doing that, it's great. And you can apply the same process to a character. You can get the character from this to this. After people say that AI doesn't have emotion, that's not true. It's just that people don't know how to give emotions, because you can get them all. You can study the character, and then once you have the character, you can set it in movement. You can do whatever you want with it, anything, and you can do everything you need to truly shape your character. So in this case, he's working out. Oli. And once you have your character, you have all this power, you can also dress him up however you want. So you can create the character for a specific task, and then you can let it live his own battle. You can do the same. Let's say you want something that is a bit more editorial. There it is. Do you want your character living la dolce vita? There it is. Now, last one is going to be about the family man. Typical dress of a family man. I don't know, I see like that, the family man. It's a bit dark, but you can see that you can get original pictures. I created this character actually a while ago, but I thought the method was still relevant. Actually, the quality now, it's much higher. So the kind of picture you can get are the pictures I've been showing you at the beginning. So I could make him totally real. It could be a social post. You will never know that. And now, I didn't create just that character, because if you look in the middle, I created the child too. And once you create the child, you create the person, this is the power of control you get when you know all the shades of all the AIs I've been showing you. And this is just visuals. There's audio, animation, there's everything. It will take like a month to tell you everything. Like, it doesn't, you can do whatever you want. You can get to your character until the very end. I had fun in doing that. Now, how much time do I have? Okay, 5 minutes almost. So, yeah. So here I have to rush a bit to jump directly on video, because there's been a huge release on last week, something that I consider a stepping stone in AI videos. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to show you some testing. This is just to briefly show you how from a sketch, if you are a storyboarder, advertiser, whatever you do, you can get easily to, you can get a color version of your sketch, and in few moments, you can get a photographic option as well. So you are free to do whatever. Then you can work in post-production, you can try different kind of lights, you can do everything. We don't have time for that, because we have to talk about this, not the dog. This is a video. I'm going to show you that. But on last week, Runway is one of the main companies about AI videos. They released the Generation 3. Do you know Runway Gen 3? Is then okay? So I had 7 days to prepare something for this presentation. And what's important with AI is testing. You learn what are the biases we were talking about earlier, and what's the language of the machine when you test. So what I'm going to show you are just testing. There's no story. It's just an edit. There's no color grading. There's no light correction. I wanted to show you what you can get straight out of the machine. I just enhanced a bit the video because of the big screen. And I generated the music with audio. So the music you will hear is generated. Arthur, I have to ask you if you want to, let's show that entirely.
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry. Well, what happens? your clients can be very happy.
We've got 10 minutes.
So please add me on LinkedIn, or if you have any video or photos, please share that with, on my social media. And thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be here. What's the time frame?
We've got 10 minutes left, so
10 minutes.
yeah, that guy talks to you.
Hey guys. So I am nervous. I'm also Jamie, and I am a CGI artist and art director based in London. I've been working in the industry for about 6 or 7 years now, and I've been working freelance under the name Studio Thames Water for about 3 years now. So what I make is mostly a mix of campaign visuals for advertising, stage visuals for live performances, and out-of-home retail installations. Oh, that's me. So I've had the chance to work with some great clients, such as Balenciaga, Louis Vuitton, Adidas, and Nike. But rather than go on for ages describing my work, I've made a little video to show you the kind of stuff I do. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I've been making over the past few years. But today, I'm here to talk to you about AI, which is about to make me quit my job and become an accountant. No, not really. I can barely file my tax returns. Today, I'm here to talk about how AI is transforming our creative workflows and why it should be seen as a collaborator rather than a competitor. So, I've got no formal training in art or design. I started out by messing around with Photoshop and video editing software at university instead of going to the lectures for my business degree. I taught myself everything I know using free resources on YouTube. I'd fallen in love with the process of imagining concepts in my head and tinkering with whatever software I could get my hands on to create beautiful images, which often involved staying up all night figuring out hacky ways of using free or stolen software, which requires years of often expensive training to know how to use properly to make something look good. This is one of the most exciting aspects of AI, its role in democratizing creativity. High-end tools that were once the privilege of well-funded studios are now available to independent artists. AI levels the playing field, ensuring that creative talent, not financial resources, dictate success. AI fosters inclusivity by empowering creators from diverse backgrounds. It enables anyone, regardless of location or budget, to participate in the creative process. This inclusivity only enriches our industry and with a variety of perspectives and voices, driving innovation and cultural relevance. If I'd had access to AI back when I was just starting out, it would have saved me days of sleepless nights and allowed me to focus on exploring my ideas and language as a creative. And this brings me on to my second point. Reducing technical barriers, focusing on the creative. So CG and post-production is different to other creative disciplines. It's really, really complicated. And I often find myself on Zoom calls putting clients to sleep with talks of UV mapping and subdivision surfaces. CG artists are often seen as glorified computer geeks, which, let's be honest, is sometimes true. Many CG artists are wizards with software, capable of amazing technical feats, but often needing an art director to help guide the artistic vision. Personally, while I am a massive computer geek and love experimenting with new tech, that's not why I got into this field. I'm an artist first, and CG is my medium. At the moment, though, it feels like my workflow is 70% technical and 30% creative. And there's this massive technical barrier to overcome before I can get into the real spontaneity and creativity. By which point, if it's a personal project, I've often got bored. And if you're just trying to get into Cinema 4D or CG, You open Photoshop instead and become a graphic designer. At the start of a project, there are these repetitive, time-consuming jobs which drain our energy and creativity. AI steps in to automate these tasks, freeing us up to focus on what truly matters, our creative vision. Imagine having a tool that handles the grunt work so you can dive deeper into innovation and artistry. AI tools have become incredibly intuitive and user-friendly, and they're designed to simplify complex processes, making high-level creativity accessible to everyone. Whether it's image editing, video production, or graphic design, these tools streamline our workflow, allowing us to concentrate on the creative aspects rather than getting bogged down by technical details. So let me show you some examples. So first up, we've got Luma AI. It has this mind-blowing capability to create interactive scenes. And as CG artists, we know the value of creating immersive environments to draw the audience in and make them feel part of the world we're building. Luma AI takes us to a whole new level, and it has an ability to turn physical spaces into interactive 3D scenes. Imagine you're working on a project that requires highly detailed and interactive environments. With Luma AI, you can scan real-world locations and transform it into a fully navigatable 3D scene. This isn't just about static models. It's about creating dynamic environments that users can explore and interact with in real time. Now, this tool's a game changer for anyone involved in virtual production, game development, or even VR experiences. Instead of painstakingly recreating every detail of a scene, Luma AI allows you to capture the essence of a location quickly and accurately. You can then integrate the scene into your projects, offering a level of realism and immersion that's hard to achieve otherwise. For example, at the moment, I'm actually using Luma AI on a film that I'm making, and we've basically scanned the whole of the Newcastle Metro, which means that we can take it into CG and kind of fly through almost like you had a drone, which you just wouldn't be able to do with the kind of budget that we're working with. So for CG artists, this means that we can push our creative boundaries even further than before. It means you're able to place your characters or products in photorealistic environments that users can navigate and create interactive scenes for virtual tours. Luma AI handles the heavy lifting, giving you a detailed, interactive environment with minimal effort. This wasn't an ad, I promise. Render times. It's a headache. It's a real headache for CG artists. And I've waited hours or even days for a single render to complete. It's like watching paint dry, except you're paying for the privilege. Moreover, when your PC is tied up with rendering, you can't continue working on other tasks, which reduces your overall productivity. So this is where AI steps in. So Topaz Labs is a great tool. It can enhance video resolution, making your renders look sharper without the need for ultra-high definition originals. Imagine you've rendered a scene in 1080p, but your client suddenly wants it in 4K. Instead of re-rendering the entire scene, which could take forever, you can use AI upscaling to achieve these stunning results in a fraction of the time. Although I'm kind of conflicted about this one, because can't work rendering was a great excuse. I don't have that anymore. So AI isn't just a tool for automation. It's a powerful ally in education. Even 7 years into using Cinema 4D and other CG software, I still regularly rely on YouTube tutorials to figure out how to make things. The softwares are so vast and there are so many of them, it's impossible to know everything. I used to be embarrassed about this when I was working in studios, but now I've been on projects with some of the most experienced artists. On the first day of a project, we'll often have a shared doc with all the tutorials we need to help make the project the best it can be. One of the problems I remember facing when I was first starting out was that sometimes you run into a problem, you don't even know what to search into YouTube to find the solution. With something like ChatGPT, it does a pretty good job of understanding your confused ranting and can provide you with a script you can run which might even solve your problem. For teams as well, AI-driven training programs can be customized to meet specific needs, whether it's learning new software, refining techniques, or staying current with industry trends. AI ensures that training is relevant and efficient. This tailored approach to learning helps maintain a competitive edge amongst teams in a rapidly evolving industry. So, to sum up, AI has numerous benefits which can transform our creative workflows. It reduces technical barriers, democratizes the creative process, and provides opportunities for learning and improvement. By embracing AI tools, we can enhance our efficiency, foster innovation, and unlock our full creative potential. These tools are not here to replace us, but to empower us, making our work more efficient and our creativity more profound. While the discussions around the ethics of AI and its potential threats are important, the reality is that AI is already transforming our industry. As artists and creatives, we have a choice to embrace these advancements and use them to our advantage, or risk falling behind. Adaptation is key. By integrating AI into our workflows, we can push the boundaries of what's possible and continue to innovate in ways which we never thought imaginable. Let's not fear the future, let's shape it. The question now is, when you can do anything, that is back to the beginning, but when you can do anything, what do you choose to do? Thank you for your time and attention.